Hey everybody, what's going on? Helmite here, bringing you another video from Grab the Lantern today. Today's topic is going to be covering generalists, why they're bad for the game, and what can be done to balance them out. Now, if you're not familiar with the concept of a generalist, the idea is basically a champion that does too much good stuff. A champion that is kind of good at everything. So the way League of Legends is balanced is that all champions are supposed to have a unique strategic niche and a reason to be picked on a team comp. Champions that do too much of, too many different things naturally lack weaknesses. So for example, Garen is a Juggernaut. Juggernauts are supposed to deal high damage and be highly tanky, but have difficulties getting into a fight. They have a weakness, and Garen is a very good example of a Juggernaut. He does high damage, he is very tanky, but he has difficulties getting into a fight because his only recourse of action is to run really fast at you. He doesn't have a targeted gap closer or anything. So, because of this, he has counterplay, and there are ways to deal with him. So, if you're against a Garen, pick Janna. Janna will keep it so that Garen never reaches your team ever. Meanwhile, let's talk about generalists. A generalist is a champion that ostensibly belongs to one category or another, but does too many things and that basically overwrite their weaknesses. So for example, Kalista is a marksman. Kalista is supposed to deal high amounts of physical damage over time, but is supposed to be weak to enemy champions that get in her face, and generally shouldn't contribute more to her team besides damage. However, Kalista has a bit of a problem in that she is very self-sufficient as an AD carry, a class that's supposed to be dependent on their team for success, and she brings a lot more to the table besides just damage. Her Sentinels give her a large amount of scouting potential, and Fate's Call allows Kalista to actually serve as an initiator for her team by throwing one of her champions into the enemy team for an AoE knockup. This means that she kind of covers her own weakness. Kalista's supposed to be team dependent, but because of martial poise, she can just hop away from anyone trying to get on her face, thereby completely negating the weakness she was supposed to have. This makes her a generalist. She does a lot of things really, really well and doesn't really have weaknesses, unlike a lot of the other better balanced champions in the game. And when generalists are good, they crowd out other champions in the role. Why would you pick any other AD carry besides Kalista if Kalista's good? She gives you everything you want. She does high damage, but she also has scouting potential, she has initiation, she has objective control, she does a lot of good things for you. Why would you play Ezreal, who's not nearly as good at a couple of those things? So that's basically the problem with generalists. The other issue is that if a generalist is bad, if their numbers are weak for whatever reason, they cease to even be relevant. And we saw this with the Azir nerfs. Azir was #1 mid laner for a long time, and then his numbers were nerfed, and he ceased to even be remotely viable pick. Whereas Kalista, it took a lot longer to get there, but she was kind of in the same boat. And both those champions were generalists that crowded out other picks when they were strong, and are no longer played at all. So, these are tough champions to balance because of the reasons listed above. They're too feast or famine, and really what needs to happen to them is they need to be reworked or have things removed from their kit so that they do have weaknesses to accentuate and that other people can exploit. For example, back in the day, when Azir had a shield on his dash and a knockup, Azir was basically immune to assassins, the class of champion that should counter him because all he could do is dash at them, knock them up, get a shield, and then push them away with Emperor's Divide, usually into his tower, resulting in an easy kill, making him completely unassassinatable, if that's a word. And that was contrary to what Riot wanted him to be. He's a disruptor. He should be weak if you can get within his zone of influence and blow him up. So they removed it. They removed the knockup, they removed the shield. So Azir now has a little bit more counterplay than he did before. I still think Azir has problems because he still brings too much to the table, but he does have more counterplay than he used to. And these are the kind of things that other generalists need to be balanced. Now, this is all kind of leading up to me talking about everyone's favorite generalist right now, Lee Sin, the Blind Monk. Currently, Lee Sin deals way too much damage, has way too much tankiness, mobility, utility, sustain. I mean, there's any number of things that Lee Sin does for your team that other champions don't do. And that leads to problems with the champion and with balance because he's good, he shoves out any other jungler. Why would you play any other jungler when you can play Lee Sin and get what that jungler can do in addition to what every other jungler can possibly do? So, and this leads to a bit of a problem in that Lee Sin is such an iconic champion that he has a lot of ability. It would be difficult to remove parts of his kit without people feeling bad about it. If Lee Sin, for example, lost his W, the ability to ward hop, people would be up in arms, and I would be a bit disappointed because that's part of what makes Lee Sin iconic and unique. However, that kind of goes true for most of his kit. Sonic Wave Resonating Strike is the same deal, you couldn't remove that. Dragon's Rage obviously is a super iconic part of Lee Sin's kit, so that really only leaves a few options for Riot to look at, and it makes it difficult to refine his place on a team. And so this kind of leads to the case of generalists are difficult to just balance, and it's a lot easier usually to give them a larger scale rework. Now, Azir, I think, is in a bit of a better spot. He has a few more nerfs or ability removals that I think will put him in a better spot. Callista needs a little bit more work than Azir. I would love to see her be more team dependent, do less damage than the ADCs, but contribute a little bit more to the rest of the team with her initiation and her objective control. Lee Sin, though, I'm not sure what you would do with him. He has a lot of things that he does, and he does all of them well, and I'm not quite sure where I would go with him, except to maybe reduce the level of tankiness he can get, or maybe the amount of damage he deals, or something along those lines. But the point I'm getting at is that generalists all need work, especially these three, as they're the biggest offenders. There are more, I can't think of them right now. Karma, I know, is one. But these generalists all need work because right now they're crowding out other picks, and that's really an unfortunate place to be in League of Legends, as I don't want every champion to be viable, but I want there to be strategic niches for champions to get played, and right now generalists are crowding out everybody else. Thank you guys so very much for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please let me know your thoughts on Lee Sin, maybe any thoughts you have on balancing him down in the comment section below, or any of the other generalists I talked about today. If you enjoyed the video, please consider subscribing. It does help me in what I do, and I upload a video just about every Monday and Friday. And if you're looking for more Grab the Lantern content, please go to my Tumblr, grabthelantern.tumblr.com, where I publish an article every single day. Once again, thank you guys so very much for watching. I do appreciate it, and I will talk to you all later.